Baddies, this episode is brought to you by M3 is 3D.
That's right. M3 is 3D is a company that makes 3D printed figurines much like these heads that hold our beautiful headphones. They also make Dungeons & Dragons figures, dice organizers, all the things to make your nerd life easier.
This one is specifically a Sauron 3D printed graphic head, and I love it so much because I'm such a Lord of the Rings nerd. So
And this is an alien.
yeah, so check out m3is3d.com. Use promo code icbtb
for 10% off at checkout.
Yep. And yeah,
that's
enjoy.
it, guys. We got a sponsor, believe it or not.
Yeah, enjoy the show.
It can't be that bad, oh, 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 it can't be that
I
bad.
could imagine you being an influencer. I could see you being an influencer.
I wouldn't want to be,
Why?
but I could see that too.
Yeah.
I can agree with that, but I wouldn't want to be.
This movie it made it like, I wonder how many people tried to make their own YouTube videos after watching this movie, but also knowing the dark side of the fame that comes with becoming an influencer.
I don't think anyone is watching this movie who would even be like, I want to be an influencer now.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Because I think that people watching it are either watching it because they already are influencers. So they're like, well, let's see kind of what they're saying.
Yeah.
And then the other people are just like people who are like, oh, it's like we heard it's a good movie or it has these actors in it. And we are like understanding what it's about.
They had straight up influencers in this
Jake
movie.
Paul's in the movie.
Jake Paul, the other people were...
Casey Fry is in it.
Okay, yeah. I'm not familiar with anyone else except for Jake Paul in that scene.
Oh my God! See, this goes to show you because I don't really watch YouTube.
Johnny Knoxville.
Johnny Knoxville.
is very. I feel like that's very important.
As
just
Ted
to-
Wick.
Yeah.
He had his own like podcast, talk show type thing.
And there was like a makeup.
Guru, right?
Yeah.
Something Star or something. I forget. Charlie Star. I don't know.
No,
I'm probably getting it wrong.
You are mixing up
Yeah, you're thinking of a real
Jeffree Star.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ugh.
But oh my gosh, did you watch the movie? I'm spacing out.
She watched like half of it.
Why am I spacing out the makeup person? See, okay, whatever. It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
No, that's the other show. I think this movie is incredibly smart and very on point. And I think, yes, he made a couple of mistakes, but, I mean, he wasn't completely wrong in his sentiment. Like when he started, he was all about like getting off the phone and just being in the moment, put the phone down and, let the battery die and just be in this, which is like a cool thing. And like, be real to yourself, like love your scars and love your birthmarks like that. You could, so I felt like he's like on the right path. He's just a psychopath and a horrible person.
He was just a beautifully written character. Not that he's great or anything, but
Yeah.
well, what this movie depicted was his character on both ends of that spectrum. One that prefers to be without technology, living in the moment.
Completely different side to the
Yeah.
spectrum.
Telling people, hey, no selfies and shit like that.
But
and then in the last scene, he's covered in makeup and stuff.
I feel like it shows you that like anybody, like everybody could be to both extremes.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, because you see him as that guy in the beginning who was like kind of like might be annoying to you if like you have a friend who's like, just get off your phone, like be in the moment. Like we might, be like, well, okay, like we will.
Yeah. You don't have to be so aggressive about
Exactly.
it.
Like it was that, and then to that extreme. But it goes to show you anyone could just kind of, you could be in that, but the second you kind of start to get that attention,
you might change.
Yeah.
Let's just get into it. We haven't even told the baddies what movie we're watching. I'm so glad that you brought this movie to us because I was so excited because Andrew Garfield is a tank in this movie. He is just acting up a storm. Baddies, today we watched Mainstream.
I always get it mixed up. I always want to say Mastermind.
Well, I don't know where you're getting Mastermind from. That's like an animated film, right?
I know,
That's
Megamind.
Megamind. Okay.
Mastermind is the one with Zach Galifianakis, where they do like
maybe. Yeah. I think that's the one. I think that's the one. Different movie.
Completely different. But can we try one more time because now I know that it's what it's called?
We watched Mainstream. Yes. Welcome.
My name is Alejandro.
My name is Kris-chan.
And over there we got Juliet.
Hey.
Yes.
She's back with us.
If you haven't watched the Tuesday episode yet, go back, watch it. It's a pretty wild episode as usual. Our episodes just go wherever the hell we want to go with it. But this is our movie episode, and this movie was dope. Let's just get into the nitty-gritty because I really want to talk about
Incredibly underrated. I think it's something that
So
people should see,
underrated.
especially because it is
relevant.
One of a kind, yeah, and super and new and in the moment. Anyways, if it pleases the court,
Pleases the court.
Please.
we watched a movie called Mainstream, which is rated R and was supposed to release in 2020 and technically did at the Venice Film Festival, but wasn't open widely released until 2021. It has a runtime of 1 hour 35 minutes. Has a 4.8 out of 10 on IMDb, a 34% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 36% on Metacritic, and there's also a percentage of Google users who approve of this film. Would you two like to guess what percentage of Google users approve of this film?
You want to go first?
I can't guess.
Okay.
'Cause
'Cause
I
you saw
looked.
it? Oh,
I'm going to say 83%.
Chris? Excellent. Christian, you are very close. The answer is 81%.
Boom. That
and
makes sense.
I have a very short synopsis for you, one sentence long. Synopsis coming at you.
Right at you.
A young woman finds a path to internet stardom when she starts making videos with a charismatic stranger.
No. That's the synopsis.
That's what I got for you here.
Check out the IMDb synopsis. It's way
It's
different,
actually,
and I
like,
hate it.
Way more in depth. I do want to say that this movie is directed and partially written by Gia Coppola,
Yep.
who is Francis Ford Coppola's
Granddaughter.
Sophia's niece.
Yes. And she wrote this character. She wrote Link, Andrew Garfield's character, loosely based off of her second cousin, Nicolas Cage. Because he's kind of a weird dude with all the fame and all that stuff. I don't know how much of it is really based on it,
This
but
guy?
it was an inspiration.
Yeah, that's Nick Cage.
That's the guy.
The IMDb synopsis is also one sentence long, and it is, in this cautionary tale, 3 people struggle to preserve their identities as they form an eccentric love triangle within the fast-moving internet age.
That's not the movie at
Nope.
all.
Nope, that's way off.
That is not what this movie
It has
is.
like barely anything to do with the love triangle. That's a part of the plot.
And fast-moving.
And it's not even a triangle. It's just
No, and they deal with their identities. Yeah, but no.
This movie had a budget of $5 million.
so cheap. Nice. That's cool.
Yeah. That should help you guys with this one. How much money do you think this movie made in its box office recoup?
But it didn't even go to theaters, did it?
Well, I mean,
It just dropped in May. I don't think it went to theaters. I think it went straight to streaming. I'm going to say like a good 20 million.
$20 million, Juliet?
14 million?
You guys are incredibly kind. This movie made $43,913.
Oh, what?
No way.
More people need to watch this because there's so many blockbuster movies out there that don't have as good of a message and have worse acting.
This is really good acting.
This is Andrew
Great
Garfield.
acting.
It is. I think it's written off as like, oh, we know social media is bad. Like, we get it. But it's like, no, that's actually not what like
That's
the
not
story
what it
is.
is.
The story, in my mind, is about how people who want to create can often be manipulated by people who have ideas. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think everyone's intention in this film was good when it started, right? But it was
Yeah.
just perverted and subverted by this guy who used it for his own, methods and gains. I think, she wanted to be an artist and a content creator, and she found a way to do it. And her buddy wanted to be a writer and a musician, and he found a way to do it, So, and Link initially wanted to help people, I think, kind of.
Yeah, he was an interesting guy.
Or help himself. I don't know. He was like babysitting that little girl and pushing that guy in the wheelchair. So clearly he helps some
Yes.
people.
Kind of
Yes.
weird, but then after knowing what we know about him later in the movie, it's all just really weird.
It's even weirder. Why was he friends with that little girl?
I don't know. We don't know. All their intentions were pure and wholesome at first. And what I think this movie does, it poses the question, do you want to be famous? And if so, at what cost? Are you willing to sacrifice your character, your values, your morals, your friends, and just take on the pure narcissism?
But it's I think to like add to that is how you get famous.
Yeah.
How you got famous, because in this movie yes, they are artists. Like they both kind of seem to be, and same with like Link's character. Like maybe you can tell he's just an eccentric guy. They didn't necessarily want to be influencers, but that's what this movie is. They become influencers, and it's like
They kind of became what they were making fun of in the first
exactly.
part, right?
And like influencers, you're famous off of like the decisions that you like, the choices you make and the actions you do.
Yeah.
Like you're choosing to do that. But like if you're like an actor and you're famous, that's you were acting, like that's your job.
Yeah.
Like
so this one's specific to YouTube influencer realm because
well, I'm just like saying like the fame that can come from being an influencer, it's like a different fame. Like you're famous because of the things you do, like the silly things you're doing that people will watch and will enjoy.
Yeah. Well, that was like the basis of their initial YouTube videos. They were making a satire of influencers. They broke into some dude's like mansion, and Link was like, "Look at me," blah 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 blah. Like he was making fun of it, and then he eventually got this YouTube show because Jason Schwartzman took them on, and they had a deal. Made this YouTube show where it was about are you willing to keep your dignity and give up your phone, right?
That's a
great premise.
I'd actually be super down for that sort of thing, right? And just to see what kind of crazy shit people are going to get into just to get their iPhone back.
Yeah.
Still cool. Great. Still fine. And then like that one guy who did pick dignity over like going for the smartphone. Yeah. Like I thought that was all pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you lose it when, they start losing viewership and they start losing subscribers, right? So everyone's freaking out.
We need
to do something big or something crazier, which I think is always the problem with YouTube stars or influencers. They always realize, the fame is so fleeting and so fast that I think they don't realize that it's not meant to last forever. So they keep doing the next big thing, the next big thing, the next big thing to keep the ball rolling. But it's like you're either going to blow yourself out or people are going to get tired of it or you're going to go crazy.
And that's just entertainment in general. Like with stars, John Travolta was famous in the 70s, but like after his first flop, boom, boom, boom. And his career almost died up until like Quentin Tarantino saved his career. But like when in this movie, they were like, yo, Link, since your last video, you've gone down 15% in audience engagement. And they're all freaking out. We need something new. We need something new. And like this movie gets so interesting because he himself becomes a hypocrite of what he's trying to sell. Phones and internet is bad, but look at how you're consuming me through your phones and internet. And it's just so hypocritical, and it's beautiful because we get to see him fleshed out from this guy who is just raw, and he is
lost.
He's
going
lost
through a lot.
He's going through a lot. Obviously, we learned throughout the movie that he was a pyromaniac and that he had burned his school down and that he had been institutionalized and his parents are rich. He comes from fortune, and they use their money to cover that up.
Right.
And so he's essentially nobody.
It's crazy because what he kind of becomes, like how he acts, makes sense knowing that. But how we see him in the beginning of the movie is like, I feel like such a literally completely different character.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like,
the arc that he has is the most complete.
Like his, like the second, like after they make, or like I guess when we see them making the first YouTube video, like that is when like, okay, the person we knew in the beginning, that character's gone now.
For sure.
But I think it's why, like, I think that's a very cool part about it is that.
I was going to say, I noticed immediately that he was a different person when he's like in the green room on his phone and then he's like taking selfies with people in the background and stuff like that. That's when I noticed like, oh, he is 100% different than who he was when they started. Like he's not even close to what he was trying to do, which,
Yeah. And he's not the only interesting character in this because Maya Hawke, Ethan Hawke's daughter, who plays Frankie.
Uma Thurman's daughter?
Really? Yes.
Yeah. What?
Crazy. I like her so much. Sidebar, I think she is so cute. And Melissa and I were talking about this is because she's like not Hollywood cute. She's so realistically cute and like mousy. And her character was so... It was weird, and I felt weirdly guilty to see her face light up after she saw how many views racked up after that first video that she took of Link when he was in that rat costume.
Well, it's because she was just getting recognition.
Yeah.
I mean, she was literally just getting like, oh, this is what I did.
For sure.
Which she clearly lacked because how she was treated at work and just how she
Beautiful
was
writing.
so like,
Well, she has to put on that like, oh my gosh. She has to put on that like baby mask and be a part of that baby act. Yeah. She worked at that interesting bar.
It was a dope bar, but I just wanted to say this because it was bothering me. They were wiping glasses with like a towel. I've worked in a bar for a number of years. I've never ever done that. It's not a thing you do. Your towels are dirty, and they were just like rubbing the inside like this. I'm like, that's something you saw on TV once and thought everybody does it, but
so that's a really bad production.
For sure. I mean, it's
or
like
just a bad bar.
It's like it's just a bad.
Nah.
I think it's the actors. I think the actors don't even realize. Like they think that's what makes a good-looking bartender, but it's like no, you would never.
And then there was no one on
that.
set to correct them. I guess they
Yeah,
weren't really
yeah.
focusing on the bar.
But it doesn't matter because it's not about. It's about the social media thing. But I just noticed.
No,
it's
but that's a good contrast. She is lacking so much validation and like direction with her life at this job. The only friend that she has is Nat Wolff, who's from Hereditary and the Naked Brothers band, who he's so awesome. And he is.
I don't know what that band is.
It was a show on
TV
Nickelodeon.
show.
It was just all it is, and it's just so interesting. So he was like the small kid, yada yada.
And now he's doing movies.
Now he's doing movies, and
Via
so
Coppola films.
it's nice to see where they came from. Like, because the first 15 to 30 minutes is kind of like weird, right? It's a little slow and like you don't know what's going on. And it starts getting interesting once they start making those YouTube videos.
It feels like a completely different movie too. Like once they start making the YouTube video, it's almost like I feel like you kind of question like, is this still the same movie? Because it just jumps into it.
Yeah, and
so fast.
And the editors or whoever was in charge of adding like the graphics in it, you know, especially once we get to the game show and how it is so produced like that, well, it would be on YouTube. But then that's also like how their life is too, off screen too. Like sometimes like when she's throwing up in her mind, she's just throwing up, you know,
Emojis.
She threw up
Yeah.
emojis. Yeah.
yeah. But what's happening is she's rejecting the lifestyle that has been forced on her.
And I liked that part.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people dislike it.
A lot of people dislike it because they're like, come on. But
Yeah.
I'm like, no, but like it is actually so literal almost. Like
The most literal like
and yeah,
figurative-
obviously like it's fucking corny. Like
Yeah.
it's emojis in a sink and they're melting away. Like it's stupid.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's also like smart because I'd be like, that was just a dumb like decision on.
Even though it felt a little out of place, I respect it so much because it was such a bold move.
Yeah.
Like that was a heavy swing that like the creative minds behind this movie put, that Gia Coppola was like, yeah, she's going to throw up emojis.
Right.
And like, yeah, it's a hit or miss, but like, wow, that's like a bold
But when you think about
move.
it, yeah, like
And it makes sense.
yeah.
She's, like you said, rejecting that lifestyle that she had ingested and craved for that past however long, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's, you know, she was really good at it. What I found very interesting is, you know, when they first started making the videos, all three of them are good at what they do. You know, the homeboy's good at writing these ridiculous scripts and understanding what, you know, what the parody is. And then Andrew Garfield's even better than that by doing it and showing it and living it and then unfortunately becoming it. And then Frankie is like a mastermind. She's putting shows together. She started off with her cell phone breaking into places and then was running an entire TV studio eventually.
Literally, yeah.
Like that all happened. I mean, I think this movie maybe takes place in 6 months,
I could believe that.
right?
I could believe
Oh,
that.
for sure. Yeah.
Like his,
It's not super long.
because
but
influencers, they rise to fame that fast.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
With the type of social media we're dealing with, like the turnover rate is quick with TikTok. So many new names have popped up in like the past few years already. We live in a day and age where we got YouTubers fighting legitimate boxers.
Making more money than legitimate boxers.
Something I never would have predicted, and this movie,
It's wild.
so many genres.
It's wild.
Like it's romantic, it's a rom-com. I want to highlight a
very-
scene that a lot of people I'm sure dislike is like they've had this like sexual tension, this romantic tension for a long time, and all he does is like kiss her on the forehead, very sweet and all that. And Jake, it's all three of them. They wake up one morning, Jake leaves, and it's just Link and Frankie.
Well, and he pretends like he's gonna leave though. Link pretends like he's gonna get up and leave.
He goes through the front door, says bye, comes through the window, and they start making out. Like the rom-com in me type of guy. I was like, man,
It was hot.
I like that.
I saw that as they're not letting Homeboy know about
Oh,
what's
for
going
sure,
on.
that
Yeah.
too.
And so I
Yeah.
kind of like felt bad, dude, because especially at that time Homeboy already knew like that he was a sleaze and that he was lying to her and taking advantage of her. Like by that point I didn't like Link anymore because I could tell like what he was doing and how manipulative. Like I could just tell that she doesn't understand what's happening to herself yet. You know what I mean? Like she's falling for this and she's happy for it. And you know, I read that moment as oh, she's like falling for the dark side. Like she's going into
for
the
sure.
evil
For
of it,
sure.
right?
I want to say, I mean, the entire movie, I was on Jake's side, Nat Wolff's side, because he was the friend from the beginning. Like they came from the same place, cracking these weird jokes with each other, and
maybe he should have shot a shot at the time then.
yeah, he should have. I mean, he eventually did. He straight up said like, "Hey, I'm in love with you," and I thought it was very sweet. And he said what I liked about his character is like, it's usually formulaic to say, I'm in love with you, and like, I hope you love me too. But his was just like, I don't care if you love me back, but if you're whoever you're gonna love, if it's either me or Link, I want you to know the truth, which is when he pulled up those files saying, hey, he's a institutionalized pyromaniac that burned down his school.
It's Andrew Garfield is such a good actor, like so good.
Yes.
But when you think about like even like that character, like how in the beginning, like he seems like this weird but like genuinely cool guy you'd kind of want to know and like hang out with.
Bohemian.
Yes. Yeah, and like that whole like the even though it's a different lifestyle, like clearly he doesn't really have a place to live. Like he's just kind of a drifter, whatever.
Makes it work, yeah.
But it like it even makes him cooler that he is a drifter a little bit. Like
Yeah, he owns it,
like,
that's why.
She can't, when she first meets him, she's like, where can I find you? And he gives her an address because he doesn't have a phone.
Not even an address. He says like he gives her
Or
a
like,
corner.
oh yeah, a corner, like an apartment building or something.
I'll be on the top floor, and then it's like a pool up there. And it's funny.
No, he's watching some kid, yeah.
But then when you think about after they do the like the first video or the first thing they post, right, of him like
the rat in the painting.
Yes. And then like when he goes on the freaking TV, not the TV show, but like the live, and he talks about the cemetery in the park.
Yeah.
And it's like how he can so easily turn on like that voice and that character.
Yes.
Like, and
because
then
he's so nervous before he does those things. He's
so
scared.
nervous. And like that kind of character, you're like, oh, this is a really like
insecure
guy.
Which is relatable and endearing, yeah.
But then when he turns it on, you're like, oh, well, okay. And then he turns it off so quick. But then in the cemetery, he turns it on again. And it's like, that's when you start to be like,
there's something off with this guy.
yeah, but then I feel like there's so many people like that in the world, you know?
Yeah.
That
It's a show. I mean, these are influencers. Do you really think influencers are the way they are in real life? We can hope.
But
with all of our...
he became it, though.
He became it, yeah.
And he becomes it. And I think that happens with a lot of influencers. You know, I mean, they start off, but the second you start... And that's what's selling to these people, that person that you're being. So why not be that all the time?
Yeah.
Even if that's not who you truly are, but maybe it is.
Yeah.
I think we could all just be a lot of different versions of ourselves.
It's a drug, that fame, that type of fame, that quick fame, without even much of, without asking for it at all.
Yeah.
He got so addicted to it that he was ready to just like throw everyone under the bus. Even like, spoiler alert, the girl that killed herself.
Yeah.
And that was a wild thing, Isabel.
So Isabel was a girl who was on his
YouTube
game show, right? And what he did was he had pulled a picture from her like Instagram and was like, "Oh, look how pretty you are! Like this is such a really pretty
got this
picture.
Many likes."
Yeah, this is your best picture. This is your most liked picture.
And then he like takes all the filters off of it and like removes all the makeup and stuff and pretty much reveals that she has like this birthmark on her face and like embarrasses her. Then he puts this big button in front of her and is like, if you push this now, we'll send this to every one of your followers and blah 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 and let them know like this is the real you, which is a very intense way to go about it. But also like I kind of think that's a really right because in the beginning when he talks about Frankie's scar, like I kind of thought that's where it was going to go, and I think that's maybe why Frankie didn't want to pull the plug right away.
She understood. She was touching her scar as she was
because
as going on.
She's like, oh, he can help her like he helped me, but it just is a way different scenario when you're doing it in front of millions of people on TV.
It was so hypocritical.
Yeah.
Like, be your true self. People will love your true self, but here he is
not being
the furthest
whispering, saying to her, "Hey, don't fucking do this to me. You stop fucking crying. You stop fucking crying." And then Frankie has to go home, and she has to make the conscious decision.
First he
grabs her hand and does it,
to press the button.
It's just so hypocritical, which is like I understand the message
it's so
that like
aggressive. That whole scene is so aggressive,
which is why this movie's so good because it triggers the discomfort within us.
Yeah.
And it's so hypocritical of him, and like Frankie having to edit that out.
Edit around it.
Edit around it, so it makes
it
so we don't see Isabel cry in what comes out on YouTube. And we later find out that she kills herself because of the
and because when it comes back up, right? And they're blaming him when he's on the
Yes.
interview with Johnny Knoxville and Jake Paul and all of them. They bring up the fact they find the leaked footage of what actually happened, and they're trying to like get him with the gotcha journalism sort of thing, which is kind of like a bullshit thing to do to somebody, right? But that's the fame game, and that's the view. But again, right when I thought he was about to do it and hit it out of the park and be like, because he was there with 2 makeup artists, right? I think what he should have done is he should have taken the argument of like, you guys are just telling people to hide themselves away with this makeup and contouring lines and shit like that, and here you are going on and on.
Didn't he say that?
He starts off doing it, and then but then he doesn't like stick with it. He like changes it into something else because his brain is onto the. But it's like you were almost on the right side. Like had like you could have turned it around and been like, people don't need makeup. You don't need to do this stuff. You don't need to be sexy for Jesus. Like you don't need to do this stuff.
His defense mechanism. He was like, let's veer this conversation away from me and let me attack you and let's bring the attention back to you.
Kind of, but then once he realized the attention isn't on him, he would do a grandiose thing to have all the attention back on him.
He wants the attention on him if it's good attention, but when he was getting attacked, he was like, let me attack you.
Well, yeah, but is him shitting on the that's good attention? No, he's demanding everybody's attention because he didn't get it for 2 seconds.
Because he clearly can't hold people's attention not being a character, not being big. Like he's not comfortable just being himself and not having
pooped in his hand and he was using it as a weapon. He was using it as like kryptonite, and that was insane.
This movie is so wild.
It is. I think people are gonna write it off because it's crazy like that.
I mean, anyone who's made it this far who hasn't seen this movie yet should definitely just go watch it because we jumped into this so quick without even
because it's just
that's all you can do.
When this movie ended, I just had so much going through my brain, like so much going on. One of the things I really want to talk about is the very final closing scene when he
that's an important thing to
does
talk about.
His whole final YouTube show, and they start doing like a candlelight vigil for Isabel, and he starts making this like grand speech, and then he like blows out the candle and he's like, actually fuck that, you killed her, and he like switched on him, and his name is No One Special, right? And then they're chanting out like no one special, no, and then he turns around and all he hears is special.
That was crazy.
And then he has that like little smirk, and it's like,
dude, that smirk.
He doesn't even hear it. He doesn't even hear like what they're saying. He just hears what he wants to hear. Think about how often he's been doing that, where he's just like, yep.
That scene was wild because he goes through so many different things.
So many different emotions.
He starts off with what people want to hear, like "I'm sorry, Isabel is a beautiful
with an incredible
soul."
dance. He does
that
dance is really good.
Crazy.
The dance it's fairly highly choreographed, and
oh yeah, I mean it was definitely
I didn't see that character dance.
Low budget production for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, compared to his shaking out the demons, I think this is great dancing.
Even that was incredible acting, like the pre-show jitters that he gets. I feel like performers
so aggressive, but that even showed more of his like psychoses.
Yes.
That was like, ew.
No, let me turn this off. It was such a good character choice.
Yeah. Oh,
great actor.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. But with that last speech, he goes through so many different objectives. So he goes by the book and he says, "Hey, I'm sorry. Rest in peace. You are a beautiful human, Isabel." And then he says, "But it's not my fault." He turns. It's your guys' fault. And he tries to like pin it on everyone else. And he tries to like victimize himself, right? You guys did this to her. You guys did this to her. And then he switches again. And it's the only time in the entire movie where he becomes truthful. And he tells them their real name. And he's almost ready to just like, this is it for me. Fuck, he's saying, fuck you, fuck this shit. And on YouTube Live.
But then ends it with like, oh, go ahead.
He ends it in such a way where like, I forget what he says.
If you agree with me, drop a like or something like that.
Yeah, if you agree with me, drop a like.
And then everybody starts cheering for him, and that's when he starts hearing the chanting and stuff like that. And it's like, oh shit, you won people over with that.
He turned around. He didn't know if he was going to win people over. He thought it was the end of his career. And this is the dark part.
Or did he know?
I don't know. I like to think that he didn't think, he thought it was going to be the end. And if it would have been true justice if people dropped him there and then. But the whole point of this, why this is such a good movie, is that ending where, oh shit, they're cheering for him for after all that shitty stuff he said because it's entertaining.
It's entertaining.
They're validating him and he smirks and boom, he is given this positive reinforcement for something that is so truly toxic and evil that is this internet fame. And it's so beautiful because he's fallen into the deep end. We lost him. You know, it could have been truly formulaic if they rejected him and he were to, like, you know, learn from his mistakes. But that's the truth of those influencers.
Yeah, once you jump into the abyss, you know, you're all the way there. You can't pretend like you're not.
And it's hard because I don't want to, like, necessarily discredit influencers because they're doing their stuff and they're successful. I mean, they're making money and they're getting sponsors, getting free stuff. But it's like, I mean, this is with anything in life it's fleeting, you know. And it's right now it's super, like, the people who are very popular, you're popular, but I think. And it's not a hard stop unless you do something really stupid. It's like a slow decline.
Fade out until nobody cares.
Which seems like very painful because you went from, like, caring so much about, like, literally, like I was saying earlier, like what you're doing to make people watch you. Yeah. And then you see how much people watch you and, like, you think, oh my God, well, I have all these views. Oh, I'm, you know, an influencer. And then you slowly lose that. I'm like, that's a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Big mind fuck.
Yeah. And it, of course it's different. I mean, hopefully the way these influencers accrue fame is different than what Link depicts. Of course there's a lot of truth to it. And what?
Can we talk about him running around Hollywood Boulevard?
With the fake strap on? Yeah.
Yes.
Crazy.
Dude.
Crazy.
And it's crazy because it's like...
That's what a YouTube person would do for their third or fourth video.
Yeah,
for sure.
That legitimately, even if that wasn't Andrew Garfield, that would have gotten so many views.
Yeah. I mean, think about all the videos that are out there. Like, think about all of the videos that exist.
What I really like about this film that I don't think a lot of people realize is one of my favorite lines that Frankie says, and she's like, and I know exactly how to shoot this to make it look low budget. Like, they faked it all to look like he was a real influencer, but we know that there wasn't. Like, later on, she's using a Red camera. Like, she has one of the most, like, expensive cameras for the #RealMe video that he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, they clearly, you know, have put quite a bit of production value into it, and that's what makes influencers successful. I mean, it looks like they're holding their phone like this and, you know, they're doing a selfie, but the truth of the matter is, like, no, that's probably like a tripod with a really nice camera that's been edited for like 4 or 5 hours. And he didn't do that this morning. I know it looks like he probably ate this shit for breakfast this morning, but no, he had that like 3 weeks ago and they've been editing it and, you know, color correcting it and shit. So I think, you know, it's really interesting to show how easy it is to fool people to make it look shitty, and how important of a thing that is, you know, like, people make money on thinking that it's easy to do when, you know, it's easy to try. That's for sure.
They really did reveal some of the truths of what these content creators really go through to get your attention.
And to keep trying. I mean, think about how hard they have to sit around and come up with the next crazy idea, the next crazy thing.
Oh, yeah, when they're around the writer's table trying to figure out the next. Well, then the next thing is the Johnny Knoxville interview, which Johnny Knoxville being the guy who's interviewing him is like
that's crazy.
So relevant because Johnny Knoxville is like one of the first people.
He was like a shock
He's
value
like
type
the
of guy.
first influencer if you think about Jackass.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, because they were literally doing stupid shit to themselves for our entertainment.
And to other people.
And to other people, but it was for our, and that's what most YouTubers are. I mean,
prank videos.
Yeah.
So he was definitely strategically casted.
Oh, I would. And that's the thing with a lot of these things, I think, in this movie, that it's like, you're like, well, I would hope so, right? Like, you say that, but it's like, no, it definitely was. Because this is a really good movie.
So good.
It's very well thought out. And I think it's very well thought out because we kind of question it and we're like, but that's kind of expected. And you're like, exactly, though.
Every time I thought I knew what was going to happen, it never ended up going that way. You know, I was expecting, I don't know how crazy I thought it was going to be, but I was expecting for someone to pull a gun and shoot him at the end of the, you know, YouTube thing, or there's going to be a big crazy thing and now he's a martyr. Like, I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. But then, like, I had to remind someone, like, this movie isn't crazy like that. This movie isn't doing outlandish, insane things that movies do, right?
Being honest.
It's incredibly realistic and, like, maybe not the people, but the the situations that they're in and like how people like progress in their fame like that, it's incredibly on point and very realistic.
This
to me.
movie is it's such a contrast in and of itself, because it is so true and revealing of real life fame and stardom in the in like on the internet, but it is so satirical and outrageous and everything. As crazy it is, it's so truthful, right? What kept me curious was like the first half of the movie, you're on his side. You're like, oh, this guy's just like a weird, true to himself type of guy. But I was waiting for that turn, because the movie poster is him with that maniacal smirk that he has at the last frame of the movie. And so there's like, he's evil. He looks like a bad guy. And they chose that as the movie poster for a reason.
Right.
But how does he get there?
But then you kind of, you forget.
It is kind of a slow descent into evil madness, right? Because, like you said, we like him at first, and then he does like this one thing, you're like, okay. And then he does another thing, you're like, right. And then you see him again. Now he's hitting on the girl over there, and now he's like throwing Isabel under the bus, and he's doing this. Like, I really do think they slow roll it so far because we like him. We were fans in the beginning, much like you would be of any YouTube star who, falls out of fortune. We saw them when they were just trying to figure out their gig, and then we saw them once they understood their gig, and now we see them like floundering, trying to make it work again. I really think Andrew Garfield has an incredible arc in this entire story. I mean, Frankie is good as well, but kind of ends in the same place where it begins for her. But
because she was able to save her own dignity.
Yes,
she chose that. I mean, that's a symbolism right there already. People choosing their phone, which is like this thing that they need all the time and what they prefer.
Yeah.
It was like her choosing Link and this path to fame, or walk away with nothing and your dignity.
Well, and it's hard because, like, I feel like with that character, like that guilt, she didn't really do it to Link, but she did do that to Link. Like,
he didn't ask for it.
She's just as manipulative as he is, but in a different way. Like, she used him for her own reasons and stuff like that. And then when she realized that Link wasn't the guy she thought he was, then she started realizing how far she had been going. And it's like, no, you knew this was going to happen. You wanted this to be, that's why you told your mom in the beginning, I'm not quitting. I'm not leaving. I want to be here. I want to do art. And her whole thing is like, I don't even know what kind of art I want to do. I just want to make people feel something. You know what I mean? So like, if she had not met Link that day and instead met an ice sculptor, you know what I mean? Think about how different this fucking movie would have been, right?
Yeah. And there wouldn't even be a movie.
It'd be Ice Princess.
Yeah, it's... I think each character was given a good arc. And, that's something that the bad movies that we probably review, a lot of them, we get why they're rated poorly.
Yeah, I don't know why this is...
but this one deserved more.
I think, but that's
unless they're
what
playing
I mean.
it off as...
I think not enough people have seen it.
Agreed.
And the people who are rating it are the people who are truly like
offended
insulted and offended by this movie.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of those people on like every side of the spectrum, whether it be the influencers or the people in the entertainment industry that could be like, well, is this also a dig at us? I don't know.
That's what I was thinking.
Agents and shit, yeah.
I was like, Jake Paul's in this movie. Does he take offense to this at all?
It clearly was a long time ago because Jake Paul's covered in tattoos and a lot bigger now. And this was filmed on location in LA with some sort of Christmas tree on top of Tower Records. I wonder if this was filmed in, and this is just me guesstimating, probably in the end of 2019.
I think it was filmed before that.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking is because like Jake Paul's been training for boxing for a couple of years now and like has all these tattoos on his face and shit like that. He had none.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe he was sat in the makeup chair for a bunch of hours, but I also feel like he probably wouldn't. Right. They're asking him to play himself. Why would he cover that shit up? Yeah. I think 2-3 years ago, he was still very much a YouTuber. And they,
Jake Paul's been around for like 7 years, right?
Time. Even wasn't he on a Disney show for a little while?
I don't know.
No clue. I don't know much about the Paul brothers.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's
but
possible.
Naked Brothers band.
Because I watched Nickelodeon, that popped up for me, and I was like, okay, I recognize you. I think this kid, that's possible because you said that this only hit. This probably did the festival circuit,
Venice
in,
Film Festival.
Okay, in
Where it
2020.
released at least, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and then he just hit this year, so that makes sense to be shot 2 years prior to its festival release.
Let's say every movie you see was probably filmed last year. Then we had COVID on top of that, and we had all the other stuff. Like this movie was probably produced, or at least filmed 2 or more years ago, and then the editing and shit.
It takes a while.
And they clearly edited the shit out of it. I mean,
It looked like they took their time with this movie. I'm gonna say that.
yeah, nobody rushed at all in this film.
No, it was a slow burn, a slow descent into his fame and madness. Oh, crazy.
So much better than the Joker.
Oh, no, Joker was great.
Joker is good. Joker's a good
But
movie.
these were very Joker-esque
Kind of
tendencies.
there's some similarities.
Yeah, the desire for fame, I think, can corrupt inherently anybody.
There's a lot of it's very analogous of like Joker right before he goes onto Murray's show and
Murray.
Link. I'm only saying it because that's how he says
says
it.
Oh, look.
Oh shit! These pillows are crazy. That's Robert De Niro. Yeah, and then so how Joker preps before going on there, and I knew that Andrew Garfield was great in this when he was shaking his demons out. When he was just like he did it. Do you remember the montage of him and Frankie in her apartment trying to think of stuff, and he was doing something similar, like he was dancing like crazy in front of her,
Yeah.
and like that was like kind of charming. But then we see it slowly progress into this like disturbing.
It's
thing.
cute at first, but like, oh wait, he does this every time he's trying to make a decision. Yeah, it's
because it's
really
his
scary.
mind splitting. Like I'm turning on this character to be no one special.
Wow.
Yeah. And no one special. I mean, like
Great name.
you're no one special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like I was watching one of the YouTube videos, and it was someone saying like, with like an agency with actors, like someone like discovering you in acting is saying like, oh, there's something special about you, kid. Influencers, there's no one saying, wow, you're talented and that's why I'm gonna watch you. Influencers is like, it's more like I'm watching you because of what you're doing, like what you are doing.
Yeah. It's
Which
not
is
talent.
not talent. Granted, though, then you get into makeup influencers, and like there's a whole bunch of influencers, and they're artists, they're makeup artists.
And that does require. There are some influencers.
But how much time do I really want to? I'd rather watch
Yeah.
a movie, like an actor, than someone do someone's makeup.
But I think they even mention it too. It's like it's the kids. It's kids who watch this shit.
Oh.
Kids by the tens and 20s of thousands who consume this shit, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of it.
Well, and like now, like looking at like how like kids post, like the amount of like pictures that people. I mean, we do it too. I hate to say kids because I can fall guilty of this too. But the amount like of like the teenagers, I'll say teenagers, the like newest like thing, TikTok I feel like is slowly fading out. TikTok's dances are fading out, and it's just taking pictures of your outfit every single day in the most random places, and posting them, and then like your friends resharing it on their stories. And that's like, I'm like, y'all, like, it's more than just photos. Like, talk to each other.
Yes. Yes, but that's that generation.
Like, yeah, y'all look cute and you look a lot older than 13, 14, which is kind of scary, but
like enjoy life.
Yeah.
Stop being glued to
like
that
it's
screen.
not all about like, oh my gosh, like, and it's great because the support that I see of like all the comments, like, oh, you're so pretty, oh my god, you're gorgeous, oh my god, love. So it's like I see that they are getting that like instant
Yeah,
love
but the
and
people who are typing
gratification.
it aren't actually like, oh my god.
But that's what I mean. In person, are you really going to say to that person,
Yeah.
wow, you look amazing. Like, oh my God, girl. Yes. Go off. Fire. Queen. Da, da,
Yeah.
da. I don't hear people talking like that.
No, not at all.
So I'm like,
this is
that's-
like, I'm so appreciative of like, as much as this podcast has to thrive on social media and we do have to pierce the algorithms in order for us to succeed and
Yeah.
the game has to be played. This is not us just taking pictures or embarrassing each other just for content.
Yeah.
This is authentic conversation. At least this is feeling productive in my mind rather than like, shut up, Christian here, gonna throw jewels off the roof, you know? Actually, that's great content. Write it down.
I have a pillow that you can fall on. Yeah. I know exactly how to make it look cheap too.
Oh man, can you imagine me doing that before the podcast? How Andrew Garfield just like spazzes out like crazy.
What are you talking about? You do that before the podcast.
No, mine is just kind of like frazzled. Mine's frazzled. Mine's like, okay, everything's working.
What's that? It's
I'm like, oh.
And then you shake the demons out.
No.
You know, I think it's hard because,
Oh.
sorry, my ears got really sweaty.
It happens to us all the time.
In this movie, the influencers that they show, right? Most of them, okay, it's Jake Paul does like crazy stuff, but then everyone else are the influencers who are just doing it based off of what they know, and like, so it's like, it's hard because I don't want to discredit those people, you know?
Yeah.
Because not everyone, because I feel like this movie is focusing on like him, how he like does these outlandish things.
Yeah.
Like super outlandish things. And not everyone does those outlandish things, but I'm still like, but...
That's why, like, the realm of influencers, it's a broad category because, like, just because he's like this does not necessarily mean every influencer is like this.
Right, because you can still be like the travel influencers or or bloggers, like.
Yeah, but they didn't create his character from a thing that's not real. You know what I mean? Like,
all those
things are pulled
exist
from really, believable things and cult leaders and, people who like take advantage of other people. I think about halfway through this movie, I was like, oh, I think he's going to turn this into a cult, and then he's going to be like God, and then he's like, I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know where it was going to go, but there was a real small point where like he could have turned that into.
Oh, for sure. Well, the end. I mean, the way it ends.
He's pretty much a cult leader. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the way they all like applaud. Sorry, but yeah.
There's I think you watched the same YouTube review video of this movie where it says what would be interesting was if we could see what happened after that moment. What does 6 months after No One Special had that big speech and smirk at the end of the movie? What does that look like? Does he form a cult? I was just watching this YouTube psychology video that breaks down like David Dobrik and like how he created this like cult. It was the Vlog Squad and like how it was like this pyramid scheme of how he's on top and he's getting his friends, quote unquote, that have less followers than him to do stupid shit, and he'll share it on his page and that'll get them more followers, and they're going to do the same exact thing to people with less followers.
It's crazy because the way he started out was literally just moving to LA and like making silly, stupid videos, like making vines.
Yes.
So like David Dobrik is a perfect example of
this.
This
is of what Link is, yeah.
Because like I remember Chris introduced me to David Dobrik videos like 5 years ago maybe, and like it was in the beginning when the people who are his like main friend group now, like they were still his friends, like they were all just friends, and they all went up with him in that like sense, but then it was still that pyramid, like weird, like
there was a status.
There was a huge status, but it wasn't always like that. It was literally just friends making stupid videos, but then it kind of turns into, oh, this gets more views.
Oh, this thing worked.
Oh, now how should I be acting? Oh, I acted like this in this video. Now I should act like this all the time because people like this.
Yeah.
It's
now
weird.
He's out hosting the Kids' Choice Awards and shit like that.
Right. Some of those friends, like they got injured. A few of them almost died from some of those stunts. And they felt pressured to do it because they wanted to feel cool and they wanted to get David Dobrik's validation and be a part of the group and then rise in that fame. Yeah. And that's how I feel that, Frankie, Jake, and Link were in this movie. They were authentic. They're just three people making videos.
And that's how it all starts. And that's the crazy thing.
Yes.
That's the crazy thing, because we can sit here and blame David Dobrik, but it's like, I mean, yeah.
But the viewers demanded this.
But the viewers, and then you all did it too, and you all, like...
You consumed it.
And that's where Andrew Garfield, weirdly and depressingly, is right. Not the things he's doing.
He's right. He's wrong. He's so messed up, but he's right. And he's wrong. He's wrong in many ways.
His actions are incredibly wrong and messed up.
Yes.
But like we said in the beginning, his intentions, I think, started off in a better place.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to say his intentions were always good, but no, he begins to realize how manipulative he is. I just want to say real quick, one of my favorite things was when he's doing that speech and you see the lighting on him, and it's such a harsh lighting. It's not like the stage lighting. It's not the lighting that he would have on the show. It's so harsh. You could see like the patches in his makeup. You can see that he's like sweating through it, and like that's the real him. That's the time when we see like the truth of him, and we can kind of see through all that fake shit that earlier he was railing against.
Yeah.
You know, and that for me was such a great way to encapsulate the whole film and just, again, bring it right back to how far he's fallen and how deep he's fallen into this.
Oh, it's so good.
Such a
This
good film.
movie's so good.
So good.
All right, I think I've said about almost everything that I could think of. What do you guys rate this film?
I want more people to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And then like I want them to like genuinely like tell us about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want to know other like artists' opinions of it.
Yes.
And
Especially people who are like interested in, you know, content creators, right?
Yeah.
Who want to like figure it out but don't want to be a sleazy cult extravaganza guy, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, this is a really interesting cautionary tale. I mean, I think I can see though why some people don't like it, because some people are like, we get it, guys, cell phones are bad, but it's like that's not really the point.
Well, and that's what some people they only see that like, oh,
Yeah.
we get it, social media, okay, fine,
that's-
whatever, then stop watching. And
Yeah.
it's like that's not the point.
Yeah.
Because we all are still on our phones watching TikTok, watching Instagram videos. Yes, but we're consciously, I think, thinking we're more aware of it, even if we were before. But it's like, oh,
This is curated.
yes, yeah.
I mean, this entire podcast is a testament of like, oh, this movie's much more than phone is bad. It's
Yeah,
Phone is bad.
Phone is bad.
phone is bad.
But we should remember, who are we validating on our phones? Through social media. And what, feeding other people's egos
Is it
based on
for
the type of entertainment.
them or for us?
Who knows, man? That's
I think it's a never-ending circle.
it's vicious. It's
So what do you
vicious
rate it, girl?
cycle.
On a scale of 1 to 5?
Scale of 1 to 5? 4 out of 5.
I think that's right about where I'm at. I can see why, because I feel like if I give it a 5 out of 5, I mean, then I'm saying that, you know, there's no flaws. I want everybody to see this movie right now. But I can see how people are going to see this movie and be like, you know, I don't. But there's are going to be a lot of people like ourselves who are going to see this movie and be like, this is great. This is art. The acting's incredible. The filming is on point. The editing is spectacular. But you got to be nuanced. You got to be smart like us.
Yeah. Oh, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I feel like this movie is like the epitome of what defending poorly rated movies is.
Yeah.
Because it is so good.
And it's underrated. It's legitimately underrated.
Yeah.
Because people haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Well, $43,000 worth of people.
4.5 out of 5 for me. I want to give it a 5, but giving
But
it
it's
a
a
5
good
out
point,
of 5.
though, right?
There has to be some flaws.
Yeah.
There are some flaws.
Christopher Perry, what would you rate it? Because you watched it too, and you're the one who showed it to me.
3.5 out of
bad.
5.
Best person on set award?
Andrew Garfield.
Hands
down.
This
He's
one's
doing a
hard.
great job. He is doing a great job.
I'm gonna have to give it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to him. But like a special shout out to Gia Coppola
Yes,
and to
yes.
Maya Hawke.
Yeah.
They both did incredible. Gia Coppola for this being her second film that she's written and directed. Incredible.
My best person on set award is Gia Coppola. I mean, she did such a great job, and like you just said, for it being only her second film, and her first one, when I saw her credits and it said it was Palo Alto, right? That was her other one. I was like,
Yeah.
that movie's fairly old with James Franco and shit like that.
2015 or something.
I think it's 2013.
Ooh,
Like it's
even earlier.
it's a little bit of an older film, so she's had a huge
How
gap.
old
in-
is she?
I mean, I'm sure it's
think
easy to
40s,
look up, but
30s or
it's
40s?
Yeah, she's
Oh,
not
okay.
that. I mean, she's Francis Ford Coppola's granddaughter,
Yeah.
right? So
She's fairly young.
Yeah.
yeah, I love it, man. Hey, check it
So
out, guys. The Megamind is such a great film, and it's just
So man, check out Mainstream.
Andrew Garfield.
Rent it on Amazon Prime. I rented it for $7, I believe, and it was worth the $7.
yeah, yes.
I kind of
definitely.
want to own this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I would love to have a poster like that poster of Andrew Garfield with that face.
Yeah.
I would put up in this room.
Oh, that deserves to
I
be
think
in
it's
this
time for
room.
Gemini Man poster on our
Baddies,
wall
if
to
you
go
want to
down.
send a gift, their P.O. box is
911.
I was about to say my real address.
If there's any people who like do
Fan
have connections
mail.
to like movie posters and stuff like that, send it to us. And fan mail. Send us fan mail too. Yeah, we'll take
Send
that.
us whatever the hell we'll
Honestly,
take
if you
it.
have fan mail,
Honestly,
just email it to us.
I wonder if we like reached out to someone on this movie, they would probably send us a movie poster because it did so bad. Or they probably have
We
a
could
lot.
write something, yeah.
I think they have quite a bit of money that they need to remake. They might ask us to pay for it.
Can you send us our movie poster?
Somebody gave them $5 million and they have not gotten their money back.
They're waiting.
I have a fun fact.
What?
Ooh, hit us.
Andrew Garfield,
Yep.
he was
Spider-Man.
as far away from as this camera is from me once in my life.
Beautiful. That's awesome.
And he made eye contact with me and it was amazing.
And he has an accent, too.
Did he say, "Oh, you're not Emma Stone"?
No. But he
Stupid.
looked up at me and I said, "You did amazing." And he said, "Thank you."
Well, amazing in what?
Angels in America.
Nice.
Such a good show.
Shout out to you, Andrew Garfield. You really acted up a storm, and to take on a role like a small IFC film. This is an IFC film.
I mean, they said YouTube a bunch, right? Did YouTube pay to be in this film? Did they?
I don't
help
know. I don't know
produce?
how that works.
It didn't seem like they're putting YouTube in a good light. I don't understand how they're able to say that
Exactly.
You know,
YouTube so many times.
They probably should have had a better deal with YouTube because it probably would have done better if YouTube promoted it.
But it's not putting YouTube in a good light, though.
I know, but it's making people go to YouTube and then watch all those other people's videos and then create their own channel and go viral overnight.
It's hypocrisy. It's all hypocrisy.
It can't be that bad. Subscribe.
YouTube knew. They knew. YouTube knew.
All right, guys, you heard it from Jules herself. It can't be that bad. All right, peace, y'all.
Peace, love,
you
and
guys know
tortoise.
where to find us. Description's in the link.
We don't have to do this anymore, buddy.
links
We
in
have a
the
closeout.
description. Huh?
We have a closeout thing now. We don't have to plug anymore.
Oh yeah, we but it's up to beep up.
Oh, it can't be that bad. Oh, it can't be that bad. Oh, it can't be that bad. Oh, it can't be that bad.
Baddies, thanks for listening to the show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. This episode was brought to you by companies like M3is3D.com. Be sure to check them out. All the links that you need to find them are in the descriptions below. And be sure to check out icbtb.com to get any of your merch that you want from us, or to check out episodes on any other platforms, streaming platforms, or YouTube. And be sure to hit us up on our socials. Email us and DM us on Instagram, and we'll see you guys later. Take it easy.